Hi everyone, welcome to Mold Design in Cimatron 15 presentation. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about the following topics. There's some improvements in the new cooling and oil analysis, cooling labeling, collect text feature in a folder, analyze distance between faces and cooling lines, transfer color and sets in CAD Active, go to higher level assembly in add cooling items with channel, add chamfer option for wedge, conformal cooling improvement, automatic conformal cooling, use catalog diameter for ejector pocket, measure minimum distance in ejector pocket from bottom end of ejector and not from the middle, put runner part in main or active assembly, fix problem of update and disassociate with insert cut, find best extraction orientation for sliders and lifters. Those are the topics I'm going to talk in this presentation. Let's start with cooling and oil analysis improvements. Remove pen, show hide button. In the previous version we had an icon to show or hide the pen of the oil analysis. Now we have the same behavior as in build simulation. If you know the build simulation, this means that if data exists, we open the pen immediately. If data does not exist, then we first open the feature guide in the first stage. This was the icon of version 14, validated all pen. Clicking this icon shows the pen or hide the pen. Now in Cimatron 15 we do not have this icon anymore, so let's see how it works in Cimatron 15. Go to all safety distance or validate alls. First have the start analysis, make the analysis, and we receive the result. This calculation is still under process, so let's wait. Now if we go again to validate alls, I'm directly in the pen and not in the feature. Same goes for all safety distance. I run the analysis. The first time I go into feature, I see the feature guide, and then when the analysis ends, I see the pen. And when I close it, next time I go to all safety distance. I'm skipping the first stage and I see directly the result. If I want to go to the first stage, I can go and edit the analysis. Separate interference with regular faces and active faces. The system now allows us to separate the analysis of distance from the non-all faces to active faces, those that touch the plastic, and regular other faces. We added two new analysis, cooling all versus active faces minimum distance, and regular holes versus active faces minimum distance. In version 14 we had 5 analyses, and in version 15 we have 7 analyses. This gives us more control over the analysis result and a final analysis. It's very useful when the user wants to ensure a higher distance of holes from active faces than from other faces. Let's edit and see that we have 2 new analyses. We have 7 analyses in 15 compared to 5 types of analysis in version 14. Let's continue. Sort by distance. Sorting up-down areas on the distance column. We have a new option to sort. Sorting is done first between the groups and then within the groups, meaning for each type of analysis we will the first level will sort between the groups collision 1, collision 2, collision 3, and on the second level we will sort inside the groups, meaning the sub-collision. This allows better understanding of the analysis result and a quicker recognition of problematic areas. For example, if I now click the sorting, see that it first sort between the groups and then within the groups. Another sort. Now it's the other way, it's starting from the small value and goes to the high value. So we have the sorting here. Improve rendering, all safety distance, making validate alls about 10% more transparent. So this is how it looks in version 14, and in 15 we improved the rendering so it looks a bit more rendered. Okay, so there is a bit more rendering, more transparent. This is how it looks in version 15. Cooling labeling. Enable easily adding labels next to each channel, save time and avoid mistake. In version 15 we added a new option to add labels to cooling. Let's see how it works in Cimatron. This is our file, and I will now add some labelings for those alls. Go to Mold Design, Cooling, Cooling Labels. Entering the function, I see this dialog where I can select first the font I want to use, if I want it bold or italic, if I want to add underline, there's some options there. Define the text size, force underline on 6 and 9. There's a drop down if I want just on 6, just on 9, or on both. Define the color, define the position of the text. So I want to add labels that include numbers, and immediately I see the result of what I want to add. Include also letter. I want a progress number. I don't want progress letter, so it will not change between the alls to A, B, C. I don't want progress letter, and capital letter. So it changes between the small a and the capital A. I can define if I want the number first or the letter first. See how it changed. Now it's A1 in, and now it's 1A in. I can define if I want some prefix or postfix, and I have a drop down if I want in, out, none, or alternate in and out. So for the first all, I want to make it in. Let's click the all, change the position so it will be down. So my first all is 1A in. Let's pick another all. Now it's 2A in. So as you see, the numbers are progress, but the letter remains A. But I don't want in here, so let's change to none. So it's 2A, 3A, 4, 5. The same way I will do for all the alls here. And the last one, this will be the out. So for the same circuit, I have labels for the in and out, and all the alls on the way. When I think it's done, I will select OK. Two more notes. First, see that I can create a text as curve text feature or as PMI. I will leave it with the curve text feature. I can save my settings for the next time, or I can save multiple settings and switch between them. Now I select OK, and the labels are created. And see that all the labels are now gathered in folder cooling label. I have here only 2 labels because I see that I made a mistake and I selected for the other holes the plugs instead of the hole in the plate. If I now activate one of the plugs, you can see that it created the labels for all the plugs here under the plug. This is why you can see that under the plate I have only 2 labels. This brings us to the next item, collects text features in a folder. So in different tools such as the cooling labels, but also for ejector table and baffle table, we now collect all the text into a folder. There may be cases of multiple text features within the same part. This can create a very long feature tree that is hard to manage. Now in version 15, all those features are collected into a feature folder. So we saw it for the cooling labels, but also for table of baffles and ejector table. Everything is collected, so the tree is shorter and it's more easy to manage. Extremely fast analysis for a quick glance at cooling efficiency. So we have a new cooling distance map based on the distance between the cooled faces and cooling channel. We can make analysis to see the result between the cooling channels and the cooled faces. Let's take an example here. Cooling distance map. Immediately the cooling channel that already have attributes of coolings are selected. Select active faces and expand to same color. So one click selects all the colors with the same, all the faces with the same color, and start the analysis. And very first I get the result. Can modify the colors, but a fast analysis to see the efficiency of the cooling. This is another example, a color map showing the distance between the cooling channel and the active faces. Transfer color and sets in CAD Active. In Cimatron 15 we have more control over the transfer of colors between the work part and active parts, allowing to retain color coding defined in the work part. So we have a drop down. I can transfer quick split colors, transfer part color, or do not transfer colors at all. So this will be the result when I transfer quick split colors, and this would be the result when I transfer the part color. Okay, go to CAD Active. Let's hide the cavity and pick the core, and I want to transfer quick split colors. I don't want to transfer the sets in this case. Let's select OK. And this will be my result. I transfer the split, the color of the quick split to the plate in CAD Active. If I decide override with part color, then this would be my result. Now the part color, override the quick split colors. Add cooling item with channel, search in higher level assembly. When creating the hole for the cooling item in a deeply nested subassembly, finding reference faces against which to define the length of the hole may be difficult if those faces resides in a high nested subassembly. Meaning that if I create the hole in a very deep part in one of the one of the deepest sub-assemblies, then it may be difficult to find the reference faces against which to define the length of the hole. In Cimatron 15 we have a solution. The system now looks for faces in a higher level sub-assemblies when it can't find any in the current sub-assembly. This is relevant for the option no interference and max length. So if it cannot find any faces in the current assembly, it will go and looks for faces in a higher level assemblies. An improvement to the wedge, now we have an option to add chamfer. In previous version we could only add round, and now we have an option to add chamfer to the wedge. It's very useful when the pocket for the insert is rounded and the user wants to insert corners to be chamfered. Okay, go to add wedge. Let's do it like this. Let's put a big value here so you can see. And now I will change between round. This is with the round. I will change between round and chamfer. So I can add chamfer to the wedge. Use catalog diameter for ejector pocket. We will look for a dimension called D1 cut, D cut or P cut. When using the ejector pocket tool, the offset from the ejector in the part of the hole that is loose was set as a constant offset value. It was the clearance. In Cimatron 15 we have a new option, allows to take this value from the catalog. This would normally be the D1 cut value. So we will look for the D1 cut value and we will use this value to set the offset. So in the previous version we only used a constant value, it was the clearance, and now we can use the value from the catalog itself. If I now go to the ejector pocket, see that diameter is set by the clearance. Okay, and if I switch now to diameter from catalog, it change the value of the clearance. Okay, diameter by the clearance or diameter from the catalog. And now it's more tight than before. Measure minimum distance in ejector pocket from bottom end of the ejector and not from the middle. So if you look at this picture, the two ejector pockets on the left, this one and this one, were created with the old mechanism, while this one on the right was created with the new one. The fit length is the same for both. The fit length is the same, but the total fit area is bigger on the right ejector as the distance starts from the lower point. This means that in the previous version we start measuring the distance from the middle point of the ejector trim, and now in version 15 we start measuring the distance from the lowest point. Okay, measure the minimum distance in ejector pocket from the bottom end of ejector and not from the middle, from the bottom end. This change results in a safer ejector pocket. Put runner part in main or active assembly. There is a preferences where we can switch and decide if you want the runner part to be part under the main assembly or create the runner part under the active sub-assembly. The purpose is to allow user that works in concurrency to place the runner in a sub-assembly and take ownership over it. So instead of creating the runner under the main assembly, now we can create under the movable or under the fixed side, and if I work in concurrency, I can take ownership over the runner. This is actually a fix that we did in version 15. We had a problem in version 14 when we update and disassociated insert with CAD. Okay, update and disassociate and insert, the surface will trim okay, but the new faces did not come in. So if you take a look how it was in version 14, there is no faces here in the middle, it's empty. It was cut correctly, but the faces were not transferred to the insert. Now in version 15, it cuts and the faces are transferred to the insert very nicely. Okay, let's hide the work part. This is my eject or my insert actually. See the top face here. And now see that I created a change in the work part. And I added a small boss inside. Okay, let's update and disassociate the insert. And see that in version 15, all the faces are transferred to the insert and it updates very nicely. So this was a problem that we had in version 14 and it was fixed for version 15. Moving on to the parting. In the parting, we can now find the best extraction orientation for sliders and lifters. So there's a new option, suggest direction for sliders and lifters, and it finds me the best opening direction of selected slider and lifters faces with the least amount of undercut. It's very useful when all sliders or lifter faces have draft angle and the opening direction is very hard to find. Let's see an example. I will use a simple part just to show you the result. So we already have a concavity and we need to set a new direction. See that it has an angle, it's not on the main X, and it's very difficult to find the angle. So let's go to quick split, new direction. I selected the faces and I want to add direction. I can do it manually, but I can also ask the system to suggest direction. Clicking this option, I get the biangle dialog and see that the system already suggested me a direction. I can do some fine tuning here, so it will be rounded values and select OK, and now I created a new direction. Thank you for joining me for the mold design in Cimatron 15 presentation.